There's no bigger YouTube game than SC Dons versus hashtag.
I've always wanted to do it, and I still want to do it, and I think it'd be amazing.
You know, for a long time I kept saying hashtag we're hiding.
Yeah.
No,
That was what it was.
So
and no, I'll get off my chest now,
Well,
because we've said what I said our piece, yeah.
The honest answer is elephant in the room.
Yep.
Before we get to Palmer's, maybe difference of opinion on this as to why we haven't played each other, but I'm going to be like 100% honest.
Yeah.
Because for me, there's a time that changed things. So it is relevant to Palmer's, to be fair. When we first started hashtag, and I think you guys, 2017, we 2016, so around the same time. Palmer's were before us. Like, they were the first to upload Sunday football. I don't know, was that part of your inspiration?
Yeah, I think so. And I always give Smith his credit. We always call him the godfather of Sunday League, because I used to watch Palmer's because it was Sunday League. And that wasn't, just me being 100% honest, that wasn't the reason I started filming SC Dons.
No.
But I can't speak about it without giving him his credit, because
100%.
And he also played us when we was on the come up, and that gave us a platform and stuff.
Fair.
So I give loads of credit to Smith.
When we eventually got that game with Palmer's, right, it was this massive moment. I don't think you guys have played them. I don't think anyone has really done a big YouTube rivalry game at that point. And I had so much anxiety around it, right? Not about the game. I'm happy. I always play football. I love playing football. It was like, why are we putting ourselves in this situation where, and this is a bit that I don't feel like this way at all anymore, but I really did back in, I think it was late 2016 that game happened maybe. When your football team is not just your hobby, but it's actually your job, right? And when you said how when you made Dons, it was originally a thing to help you in your career and your music stuff. For me, it was very deliberately. When we made hashtag, I wanted to create a business. There was a football club that could employ me if YouTube went away. Wow. That was the tactic, was if people stop watching on YouTube, I'm going to make a business thing my job can be running a football team, because I always wanted to run a football team. Like, all my life. I've created a team at 16. I've ran the team at uni. Like, I always ran teams. So I would shy away from anything that I thought would damage that potential. So at first it was like everything I did on YouTube that got big views and got my channel to grow was through collaboration, like Wembley Cup, all this stuff. It was other YouTubers all shouting each other out. It was my old job when I worked at a channel called Copper 90. Collaboration was how we got subscribers. Collabing with KSI. I used to do a show where I'd go and play FIFA with all the other YouTubers. Like, it was all collaboration. So I was like, oh, this makes perfect sense. Two football teams. It's the audience are going to think it's a game of football, but we know really it's collaboration. Some people. But what I didn't anticipate was when you mix that with football, rivalry, tribalism, whatever you want to call it, it actually goes the opposite direction, and it stops being this thing that grows channels. The idea that people, because it was always you're in one camp, you were Palmer's or you were hashtag. Maybe you were neither, but you weren't both really at that point. So the idea that someone might watch a Palmer's video of our game against hashtag and go, oh, I might follow hashtag from now on, or vice versa, was actually miscalculated. It was never going to happen, because it was very toxic. It was like, and with that game particularly,
Gets out of that, man.
It was two edits. You go and watch our edit, and then go and watch the Palmer's edit. Same game of football, completely different narrative of what happened in the game, and that's not their fault or our fault. It's just football. If I'm a West Ham fan, and West Ham play Man United, and West Ham lose 1-0, I'm going to have a different concept of what happened in that game to what you are. So when you guys came along as well, and there was that, don't get it twisted, footballing wise, I always wanted to know what would happen in that game. And I never shy away from losing a game. We lose all the time. Like, we can't avoid losing. You're an idiot if you think you're going to avoid losing. It was like, what's the worst thing that can happen? Forget the football. Like, can this actually result in some sort of horrible thing that ends up getting cancelled or something like that? And I was like, why would I do that? This is literally what I'm trying to do. So that was how I felt, and I'll let you respond to that. That was how I felt in the initial few years. It wasn't like I didn't want to play the game. It was like, what's the best case scenario versus the worst case? I think the best case was nowhere near as good as the worst case was bad. Then we went into non-league and it all changed. So I don't know if we've ever really had this conversation, but we have it internally from time to time. Is that like, I still would love to know, and I think I've got an idea, if you were up for it, how we could make a game happen. But when we went into non-league, the challenge then was like the Sunday versus Saturday thing is challenging, right? Because like, what day do you play on? Right, so if we played on a Saturday in pre-season, like, would you have your full squad? Because they might be at other teams.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
If we play on a Sunday, you're going to have a team, but then they play for other Saturday teams. It's just making sure the audience understand that, like, we can't. If we made a Sunday team, we could get a probably really good sort of Galacticos of Saturday footballers to play for Sunday team. and it's making sure it's a fair battle, if that makes sense.
It's good that you touched on it because it's always going to be the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
I say it all the time. I think there's no bigger YouTube game than SC Dons versus hashtag. I also a man that respects someone's space. And I always go back to this. I remember watching a Tiny Temper interview and he was talking about because he's from my way. He was talking about he was in a room with my man from Coldplay. I've forgotten the lead singer's name. And he didn't speak to him about music. Yeah, he said because he just had to respect his space.
Yeah.
Now I think the time came where we should have played each other, and we didn't. We was on it, and you've explained, but it wasn't for you at the time. Not that he wasn't on it. You probably didn't think it was right for you at the time. We're now at a point where I'm actually respecting your space, and I've said it to him. I said we can't play hashtag at the moment. You lot are doing what you're doing, and it probably doesn't make sense for you to play us. Now I say that to say this: to do that would be sick. Yeah. But I actually foresee that time that we do play each other, and it will be in the non-league period.
That's what I used to say.
I genuinely see
when
it.
we went into non-league,
and I say to him all the time, I'm saying that day will come, and it will be massive.
I would love it. Honestly, would love it
because that way it makes sense.
FA
for
Cup.
You. Imagine.
FA Cup knockout.
Imagine the amount of people that come
That's
down.
what when we went in non-league, and obviously like all my head was on non-league and being a Saturday team and doing these things. People say to me, when you can play the Dons, I'll say, look, I say to them, I would love to play the Dons. Yeah,
people told you that.
People say all the time, when we can play the Dons. And I would say to them, I would love to play the Dons.
Yeah, that's what we need. Because you know, for a long time I kept saying hashtag we're hiding.
Yeah.
No, that was what it was. So no, I'll get off my chest now, because we've said what I said our piece, yeah. I felt like there was at least 1 year that we should have been at Wembley, because that's what I was hoping.
Oh, the Wembley Cup.
I wanted that. I want that. That was the one thing. But do you know what it did? It was motivation.
Yeah, it was
motivation. Go on.
The honest answer is you got vetoed by the brand. That's the honest answer. So I swear to you on my life, I brought you up in the conversation in the room when we were having the because obviously Wembley Cup was all paid for by EE. So there was a lot of hands tied situations, loads of things we couldn't. KSI wasn't allowed to play in the first one.
Yeah.
Mad. KSI wasn't allowed to play in it because of some of the videos he'd done back then. She's like, imagine the kickoff I was making when my whole idea was to get the biggest YouTubers at Wembley.
Couldn't get him.
Obviously, I want him there. It was called Spencer FC versus the Sidemen. The leader of the Sidemen weren't allowed to play.
Yeah.
So when we had the fourth year, I made a list of teams. I mean, XO, good friends of mine, XO, but they weren't a football team. They were created for the tournament. Even really, the F2FC weren't really. It was only us and Rebel that were current teams. So I presented a lot of names, and you guys were right at the top of that list. And I was like, yes, it's what you have to understand. Like, I am ultimately trying to do stuff with the Wembley Cup that makes it successful. So I was presenting all the names that I thought would get bums on seats, and you were one of them. And EE were just like, we can't risk it with those guys. And I'm not saying they're right, but that was that. I swear to you, that is what happened in that tournament. It wasn't because there's no reason why I wouldn't want you in there. The fourth Wembley Cup, and I said this before and I say it again, we didn't want to win it. Now, when we play football, we want to win, obviously. When I'm on the pitch, you'll never get me to not try and win, ever. But from a purely strategical perspective, don't you if you remember like some of the hassle, or you probably don't know some of it, but like the 3 Wembley Cups I'd done, I constantly had to battle with being the organiser and having a team in it. And people would like, and obviously what happened, ironically, when the one we didn't win was the one where Jeremy Lynch started saying like, oh, this is what happens when the refs aren't Spencer's payroll.
Yeah, I heard about all that
We
stuff.
didn't even want to win it because people like you say that stuff. Like, I still would love to know, and I think I've got an idea, if you were up for it, how we could make a game happen. It could be this coming season, it could be whenever. Pre-season, tournament, not just us. We can handpick and invite, or we can, however we do it, some of the YouTube / internet / whatever. Let's create a tournament. Let's create I don't know, making this up as I go along, but like YouTube championships or internet championship, whatever we call it. And it's like, every team that want to be involved have to have something different they've done that's not just a normal football team. You would 100% qualify. We would qualify. I'm thinking, obviously, you've got your other Sunday teams. There's plenty of them out there. You've played most of them. You've got clubs like Farnham, who we mentioned we're going to have on the podcast. Harry Hugo does YouTube stuff. Work out who it is and do a pre-season tournament. And the reason I say pre-season is because that's when we'd have to do it. We can't do it in the season. And it could be like we went to Jersey a few years ago and we did one of those like Saturday, Sunday tournaments. You play a game on the Saturday semi-final.
Yeah, I saw that.
The next day.
I like the idea of that.
That sounds like
I think about it. I think about the potential of it.
Yeah,
Long term, it could be something that like maybe teams have to qualify for, even like there's other teams in the country that fit the bill, whatever we'd make the like the sort of qualification criteria to be. And it might be like, okay, there's a couple of teams that are invited certainly to the first few because with what we've done in the scene, but then there's a few more spots. Okay, well, you guys play each other, winner can get in here. And I like the idea of let's do a game and let's make it happen. Like 100%, you have my word. Like I've always wanted the game to happen, just needs to make sense like when in the year it happens.
I think it's a great idea.